When Nonna was born in 1927 in Bucchieri, Sicily, she was the second of 4 children to Antonia and Francesco Di Genti. At the tender age of 18, she married Raimondo in 1945. Together they had 6 children. Their first child, Francesco, died within a few months of being born, only to make way for 5 beautiful girls, much to Raimondo's surprise. She mainly worked on the land, but learned the art of the dressmaking, which came very handy when the girls all came along. By 1962, she had 3 girls, Grace, Maria and Franca, in tow, before she and Nonna moved to Switzerland for 3 years. While there, Linda was born and they continued to work and save enough to migrate with a family of 6 to Australia. When they embarked in December of 1965, they spent their first 3 months with her cousin, known to us all as Zia Melina and Zio Ciccio, and their 2 sons, Frank and Tony. This was the beginning of a relationship that was everlasting. She would visit Zia Melina every Saturday for lunch and spend the afternoon there. One of the many things she loved to do was play cards with Tony. He would try to hustle her every chance he got, and when caught out and facing the threat of the game being shut down, Tony would just laugh and the game would continue anyway. Nonna was like a second mother to Frank, Annette and Tony, and will always be remembered as such. It didn't take long for Nonna and Nonna to save up enough money to place a deposit on their family home in Laidlaw. Many memories were made at this home. Their last daughter, Antonella, was born a few years later. Nonna continued to work hard and raise her family. As the family grew, so did the following adventures and memories.
Hi. I imagine with eulogies, there's an unwritten rule. If you have to do a eulogy about your mum's mum, don't look at your mum while you're reading. So, Mum, forgive me if I don't look your way. Nonna, imagine being on your own in a new country, in surroundings completely foreign to you, unable to speak the language. Imagine not knowing many people, finding it hard to get around or to communicate. Imagine this hardship and having to raise and feed and clothe your family. Actually, to be honest, I can't imagine Nonna being too fussed. I can't imagine her complaining. I can't imagine her feeling sorry for herself or saying a bad word to anybody. What I can imagine is seeing her rolling her sleeves up and getting on with things, turning an impossible challenge into a golden opportunity. A fiercely independent and resourceful woman, our Nonna raised her family pretty much single-handedly. She was a mother to 5 daughters, a friend to a very wide network and community of people, and a proud Nonna to 12 grandchildren and 9 great-grandchildren. Nonna loved her grandchildren. If you would ask her how she would like to be remembered, I'm certain she would tell you as a Nonna. As brothers and cousins, we'll never forget the countless times we would spend having long sleepovers and visits to our Nonna's house, especially on school holidays. The excitement we would feel, knowing how much fun and mischief we would have together, and the amazing food that we know Nonna will prepare for us. Memories like that growing up are imprinted in our minds and impossible to forget. Always treasured. Nonna had many friends. She was a friend to many and all around her. She had a wide network of people she loved to share her time with. Her good nature and happy approach to life was infectious. Not only to us, but to those she met, and people gravitated to her. I remember being young with my brothers and cousins. She would take us all to the milk bar around the corner for some lollies or an ice cream. 8 grandchildren in tow. A 2-minute trip would take 20 minutes. She would stop and chit-chat with her friends and neighbours along the way, sometimes ordering one of us to jump the fence and collect a bit of rosmarino from her friend's garden. It was not unusual to be at her home and have neighbours and friends constantly dropping in and out for a coffee and a catch-up, or to discuss the finer points of how much oregano do you put for every litre of pomodoro sugo. Nonna loved life, full stop. She loved to laugh, she had a great sense of humour, and I know you all know that. If she was really happy and grabbed hold of you, forget about escaping. Or at least not until she planted 20 kisses on each cheek and would give you a bear hug that would take your breath away. Nonna loved music. This was a big part of her life, right up until her final moments with us. Any chance to dance and jig to a cheerful song or tune, she'd be the first up out of her chair. My brothers and I would always joke to be careful to keep clear of Nonna if there was a dance floor nearby. Otherwise, you could be sure she would take your arm and lead you round and round for hours on end, doing her famous kind of hoppity-hop waltz. After the obligatory 2 songs, I would bombard her with some serious sweet talk in the hope to be released. She would just smile and pretend not to hear you. She'd tighten her grip, and I would watch the blood drain from my hand. And around the dance floor we went again. Her energy and strength as a woman was truly amazing, and I guarantee you she could outdance anybody. Nonna lived for her family. Like mortar is to bricks, Nonna was the glue that bonded us all together. She loved nothing more than having her large family gather at her home, and at the drop of her hat and in the blink of an eye, she'd whip up her famous handmade tagliatelle for all to feast on. I can still vividly remember as a child watching her make the pasta. After some serious slapping and kneading action of the fresh dough, the cloud-like flour dust would settle, and she'd roll the pasta out onto her kitchen table in a large circular wafer-thin disc. Then, with knife skills that would make most master chefs blush with embarrassment, she'd roll it up and cut it with the precision of a surgeon, sometimes with her head turned sideways, having a chat to Mum or one of my ears. Let me tell you, we all lived for those moments of fresh hot trays of tagliatelle. She was an amazing woman, always finding a way to get her family together, always finding an excuse to celebrate an occasion or just life itself. That was the sort of person she was. Happy, generous, selfless, and always with arms open wide. She was a proud and strong-willed person with a humility that humbles us all. She had a capacity to love and to forgive that was truly endless. That's the way I remember my Nonna.
If you were to ask Nonna what she had painted in the backyard, prepare yourself to be stuck outside for a long time. Listening to her describe what each plant was. By the end of it, you would have a degree in horticulture, bog style. On school holidays, we would spend our whole time at Nonna's house. Unlike other children, we would spend their holidays doing normal activities such as going to the pools, movies, and spending time with their friends. We would be spending time with Nonna's friends, playing tombola and drinking coffee. There were other times we would be sitting around at Nonna's and she would say, "Come on, get ready, we're going to the park." Our eyes would light up and we would jump up and down with excitement. But it was not the park we were thinking of, as she would come out holding a white-handled knife and several plastic bags. When seeing that, all our excitement vanished, as we knew we were not going to the park with the playgrounds, but instead to collect the famous wild fennel and verdura. You might think as children we dreaded spending our holidays at Nonna's, but really it was the complete opposite. It was a time we will cherish forever and cannot describe how much fun it really was. If we were to share with you all the stories and the countless moments we've had with our Nonna, we would be here forever. But instead, we will hold these precious memories in our hearts and minds forever. We love you so much, Nonna, and you will be missed.